So guess what? We have some brand new updates about Cyberpunk 2077 because CD Projekt Red recently had a new conference call and they talked about the future of the game and also how the game right now is at a satisfactory level 6 months after release. Let me know if you agree with that statement or not, but it's really interesting because it seems like they're actually interested in updating the game's actual systems as opposed to, just the bugs and the glitches. So that's really a highlight of what they had to say recently. We're going to dive into that in just a moment, but also we're going to talk about another game that has comparisons to Cyberpunk more recently. There's a really interesting read. We're going to go over that in just a moment. A new article talking about how Starfield is taking influences from the Blade Runner Cyberpunk universes. And yeah, I can't wait for this one. So I'm excited to see what they're up to. But also, we're going to be talking about another CD Projekt Red game, the Witcher franchise. What's going on there? Guess what? There's a WitcherCon coming up here. Will we be seeing a brand new Witcher game at WitcherCon? I have some information about that one and a bunch of other updates for you all in this video, so let's dive in. Hey everyone, what's happening? Open World Games here. Hope you're doing good, and we are talking about Cyberpunk 2077. Let's dive into this article right here. It goes on to state the following. From the dev team, it says Cyberpunk 2077 now actually ready 6 months after release. It says after numerous updates, CD Projekt says the game has reached a satisfying level of performance. Again, sound off in the comments if you believe that's true or not. But let's dive deeper into this article, shall we? So it says CEO Adam Kansky declared that Cyberpunk had finally reached a satisfying level of performance and stability at a WSE Innovation Day conference on June 23rd. All it took was 6 months of updates after the game was released. I sense some sarcasm in this, for sure. Now, it goes on to say this. As reported by VGC via TVN24, Kansky explained that Cyberpunk 2077, which launched in an extremely rough state, especially on older consoles like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, was finally stable enough that the developer could focus on updating other parts of the game and not just fixing things. He says, we have also been working on improving the overall quality, which we are also quite happy about, says Kansky. Of course, we also remove bugs and visual glitches, and we will continue to do that. Over time, we will also be introducing improvements to the general gameplay systems that players have highlighted. So they're working on the general game systems, perhaps RPG mechanics, things that they have heard feedback about time and time again. That part right there, for me personally, interests me the most. Now, let's keep going, shall we? Now, it says this. During the conference on June 23rd, Kansky wouldn't give any specific or new information about how well Cyberpunk is selling on consoles, though based on new numbers, from the MPD group, it's safe to say it's not doing great. Still, the game has been financially successful on PC. Of course, that's the main platform. It says these statements from Kansky paint a picture that in June 2021 is very clear to see. Cyberpunk 2077 should not have been released on consoles back in December. It wasn't ready and it needed a lot more work. And while 6 months later, Kansky is happy with the current state of the game, warnings from Microsoft and Sony on each company's respective online stores seem at odds with this more optimistic opinion. Even the big console giants are contradicting what he is saying currently when it comes to, of course, the base versions of the game on Xbox and PS4. Now, also, let's talk about how far behind Cyberpunk is in comparisons to, The Witcher 3. And I do have more Witcher 3 news here in just a moment, so let's dive into this one right now. This is really interesting. It goes on to say this. How far behind is Cyberpunk 2077 DLC is compared to The Witcher 3. This comes from Forbes, and it goes on to say the following. It says Cyberpunk 2077 came out on December 10th, 2020, so it has been 6.5 months since it released, and will likely get to 7 months in another 2 weeks without hearing anything about free DLC, if I had to guess. By this time in The Witcher 3's life cycle, all 16 pieces of free DLC were out, as was the entire Hearts of Stone expansion, and we know for a fact that 2021 will not bring a major paid DLC expansion, given that the only things planned before the end of the year of this year are the free DLC and the next-gen release of the original game. So an expansion of any size will not hit until at least 2022, over a year after launch. So right now, they are not focusing on exactly giving us DLC. It sounds like they want to rework some of the game systems, and then of course focus on this next gen update to the game as well. So that's what they're currently doing right now. And there's the comparison to The Witcher. It's a shame that they're so far behind. Now they go on to say this: there have been 6 hotfixes and 3 patches for Cyberpunk since launch, though they have been overwhelmingly been about simply fixing bugs in the game and improving its performance on console. Especially the quality of life improvements added have been tiny and nothing that could be classified as free DLC, even though I do expect some quality of life improvements there when those do come. As for when we'll hear about the new DLC, I have no idea. I'm tired of guessing. So am I. I'm absolutely tired of guessing. It would be nice to have a more fleshed out roadmaps, but I did see some comments from a lot of you guys saying that you don't want that sort of thing because you potentially would be let down if they don't hit release dates, which is a pretty common thing that's happening in the gaming industry all over the place. But yeah, right now it looks like going forward they're going to be focused on addressing some of the game systems. I am so curious to see what exactly they will be doing in that regard. Now let's talk about Cyberpunk and another little game that I'm really curious about, and I know a lot of you guys are too: Starfield. So this is the article right here. It comes from GameRant.com. It says, Starfield may be more Blade Runner than Cyberpunk 2077. This article definitely piqued my interest. It says, few interesting details seem to suggest that Bethesda's Starfield has much in common with Blade Runner than Cyberpunk 2077's game world did. That's a big statement. I'm going to get into this a little bit more. It's definitely interesting talking about Starfield in comparison to Cyberpunk. I'm like, wait. What are we talking about right here? So this is what the article goes on to say. It says, surprisingly, Bethesda's Starfield has more in common with Blade Runner than Cyberpunk 2077. The comparison seems absurd because Starfield is not set in some futuristic cyberpunk city on Earth. Or is it? No, but it says rather it takes place outside of Earth. However, the vibe of every Starfield trailer seems to resonate with that of Blade Runner, a sense of serenity that comes from traversing alienating frontiers in a retro futuristic world that is scientifically correct is what Starfield seems to be opting for, and is also precisely what is most striking about Blade Runner. Now this is where it gets interesting. It says, what makes this seemingly coincidental comparison more interesting is the fact that one of Starfield's concept art seems straight out of the Blade Runner movie. I had to find out what this concept art was. Boom, here it is. It looks beautiful. This is a Starfield concept art alluding to the fact that we would be seeing these really big cities that we could run into, and this really does feel a lot like Blade Runner, a little bit of Cyberpunk in here. So this definitely gets me a little bit hyped. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm extremely curious to see what's going on with the planets with Starfield and see how fleshed out they are compared to, of course, the likes of Blade Runner and Cyberpunk. Let me know if you think they can actually pull off something crazy like that. We'll see what happens. But they did say, this is interesting, officially, they did go on record, Bethesda, in saying that Starfield is going to be actually bigger than Skyrim in terms of exploring secrets and that sort of thing. They expect it to have more longevity than Skyrim, and that is saying something. And part of that could also be what the article brings up here, in that Starfield could be embracing the philosophical nature of Blade Runner, asking, who are we? Where did we come from? So you know, that could be seen as controversial that they get into that, but also, in my opinion, I find this stuff fascinating. I'm curious to see what Starfield can do with this in this regard, asking those questions about life's greatest mystery. Yeah, Todd Howard had some things to say about that. It says, interestingly, Starfield seems headed in the same direction as Blade Runner did with its themes and depictions. According to Todd Howard, Starfield is about hope, shared humanity, and searching for the answers to life's greatest mystery. While the description is ambiguous, perhaps the goal is to explore and understand the depths of humanity by traversing the vast array of planets and moons. Yeah, so yeah, while you're traversing, you know, the universe, the galaxy, new planets, you're also traversing your soul. But anyway, on the side of CD Projekt Red news, we have some other things here. Something called WitcherCon is coming up here. Check it out right here. It says WitcherCon schedule released includes Henry Cavill and game developers. WitcherCon will first air on July 9th with the second stream coming on July 10th. I'll throw this article in the description below if you guys want to tune into the streams. But they did state that they will not be announcing any new Witcher games at this conference. I just hope they have some sort of tease, considering that game developers will be there. But this WitcherCon seems to be hyper-focused around behind-the-scenes look at how they developed the Netflix series, and then also the games. But no new announcement regarding the games, but it's going to be really cool. And I think we will probably see some new stuff from the next season of The Witcher, of course, on Netflix. So that's going to be cool. Now, also in other news, we have some more Cyberpunk news here. And I guess you would say this would be considered Witcher 4 news in a way. Hear me out here. So this is what it goes on to say right here. It says, Side announces partnership with the Imaginarium Studios. What does this mean? Why is this important? It says industry audio provider Side has announced that it has partnered with performance capture facility the Imaginarium Studios. Now, the Imaginarium Studios was founded in 2012 by actor and director Andy Serkis. As a standalone facility focused on motion and performance capture services, and now it offers a 2,800 square foot stage with a clear height of 13 feet, which has been used for games like Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, and Battlefield 1. This is extremely important because it goes on to say in the article that they will now be able to, and I'm paraphrasing, team up, and this partnership allows them to do motion capture a lot faster. So that means more content, more storytelling stuff can be created a lot faster in games like Cyberpunk 2077. And if they use this studio in The Witcher 4, that would also be true. They're going to be able to pull off stuff in a fashion that's getting content done and done quickly, especially when it comes to capturing cinematics, storytelling elements of their games. Now, it is time to go over your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up in a future video. Let's do this. So, my most recent Cyberpunk video was this. It says, "This is crazy. You won't believe this post from before launch. New updates." And it was this really long-winded post that predicted practically everything that happened with the Cyberpunk 2077 launch. And before the game, anyone that was negative about the game got a lot of backlash, a lot of negativity towards them. And his post actually ended up being true despite the negative backlash. Now, it goes on to say this. Adam says, Battlefield 2042 is going to be awesome, LMOA. That's a pretty bold thing to say about any game that hasn't come out yet based on a lot of crap we've been getting lately. He's right. I'm not gonna lie, he's absolutely correct. I am hyped for Battlefield 2042. Will it work right out of the launch? We'll see. We will have to wait and see. Now, JC says this difficulty is the absolute least of this game's problems. So a lot of you guys want other things fixed with Cyberpunk. Now, Skippy says the difficulty is one of the last things they should be worrying about, in my opinion. Cyborg 20XX says the issue with the game that annoys me the most is the inventory system. It's broken, ugly, and it's a pain in the butt to navigate. Yeah, they need to address that one. I remember when the reviews started coming out, that was one of the first complaints I heard, and then everyone was still giving the game like a 9.5 out of 10. It was pretty crazy time, the launch of this game. Seawalk says if only they never gave a launch date, we could have got this game when it was actually finished. I myself was willing to be patient enough. You know, I think they should have waited. Like, there's been a lot of games delayed anyway because of the pandemic, and I think that the core audience would be understanding that they would have to delay the game. Now, Chris112 goes on to say the following. He says, I feel like part of the reason it's taking so long to update Cyberpunk is because the game is so fundamentally busted that they don't know how to fix it without reworking core components of the engine, which they possibly don't have the time and money to. Yeah, I heard that they have been bleeding out a lot of money. You know, they lost $6 I think it was like, what was it? A crazy figure, 6 billion or something on their portfolio of their actual company. That's a pretty significant step back, and a lot of investors are extremely upset with that loss. And they're actually asking for CD Projekt Red to rearrange, I guess you would say, the leadership roles right now. So I think there's a lot going on internally that we just haven't heard about, and we will never hear about until they get past. I think it's going to take years, guys. I really do. The damage has been done. It's going to take a lot for them to deal with updating this game, and then at the same time, you know, those internal problems that they're having at the studio. Now, it says, Quickstep says this: the damn tranquilizer literally breaks the game difficulty on any setting. I mean, I guess I can choose to not use it, but come on, smart weapons? Really? Aim, precision, skill? Ha! Exactly. I think they're going to have to fine-tune some stuff. Orlando Fabio says this: if they don't fix this game, they will never ever succeed in any next projects. This will forever stain their reputation. They have to do No Man's Sky. They have to. Absolutely. Now, Okinawa 4K says, I keep telling people that Microsoft is going to buy CDPR. That's an interesting discussion, you know. I haven't heard any recent rumors about that one, but it's definitely something I will look into, because Microsoft, they're like acquiring all sorts of studios. They're very serious about that. So who knows? That could potentially happen as some sort of thing to save CDPR. We'll have to wait and see. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk 2077 news and updates and more open world gaming goodness. Also, I hope to start up some Starfield videos, so look out for those. Thanks for watching again, and I will see you all next time. Take care.